is not a postcard. We're coming to you from the stunning campus of the University of San Diego for this month's episode of WCC All-Access. I'm Sarah Cazell, and on today's show, spring has sprung. We take a look at the favorites to win 5 WCC sports in the coming months. Plus, we catch up with a former BYU basketball star on the day he signed an NBA contract, and the emotional story of an LMU basketball player taken too soon, how the Lions are honoring his memory. But first, we hit the diamond. Baseball season is here, and it's shaping up to be a competitive campaign in the WCC. Our Sammy O'Brien previews the season with WCC baseball analyst Alex Jensen.
Baseball season is here, and West Coast Conference baseball is right around the corner. We're going to get into some of the teams this season. I want to start off first and ask you, what are some teams to watch?
Well, I think it's a 3-team race for the top, really. I think you got San Diego, St. Mary's, and BYU, and those 3 teams all made the tournament last year and return a lot. You start with BYU. First of all, the Cougars are really good at home. They were 11-1 at their home park in Provo last year, and they can rake. The question for BYU is, will they get enough pitching behind lefty Hayden Rogers? The secondary pitching is really the question there. San Diego, they still have a lot of arms, and they've got a position guy in Jay Schuyler, who's coming back. He had 2 home runs in the opening weekend against Cal and Cincinnati. I really think St. Mary's returns the least amount of question marks. 8 out of 9 position guys are back for the Gales. Kevin Milam kind of anchors a weekend rotation that has another good sophomore lefty in Ken Waldachuk and a junior college transfer as their Friday guy, Nick Frank. So the Gales kind of return, the most, but really it's a 3-team race, and I could see any one of those 3 teams coming out on top.
There's a lot of teams close there, pretty top-heavy with the 4 or 5 teams. Is there anyone you think that's going to surprise us coming into the tournament?
I think 2 teams could potentially surprise when you talk about outside the top 3. First of all, I think Gonzaga. Even though they lost a bunch, Mark Machtolf is an incredible coach, and they compete really hard. They always find some pitching. And they really grind you out, just in terms of offensively. So I just think Gonzaga will find a way. The other team I think that will surprise some people is USF. Nino Giratano always finds a way to find some pitching. They got a preseason all-league pitcher in Thomas Ponticelli. 16 newcomers for the Dons, but again, they always find a way to compete. And again, I think Nino Giratano has been one of the best coaches in the West Coast Conference, and really on the West Coast, given what he had at USF when he got there, to turn them into a contender. So I think Gonzaga and USF are the 2 teams that could potentially vault themselves into that top half.
You mentioned a few players in there, a good group of guys here in this conference. Who are you looking for as the season goes on?
Well, I'll give you a few X factors. I think for San Diego, Nick Sprengel. Last year, from what I've heard, he didn't throw a fastball under 94 miles an hour from the left side. I mean, that is special when you're talking about a college pitcher. And it all comes down to pitching, really. So Nick Sprengel is the X factor for me for San Diego. Ken Waldachuk here at St. Mary's is the Sunday guy. If he can throw the way he did when the Gales beat Long Beach, the Gales are going to be a really tough out. Kevin Milam here at St. Mary's, a 2-way guy. He was their closer last year. He'll pitch on Saturdays this year. He also hits in the middle of that lineup. James Free at Pacific behind the plate. He had a really good freshman year. It was basically him and Kevin Milam for Newcomer of the Year. And then, again, the BYU pitching behind Hayden Rogers. That's their question mark, and that's why they won the West Coast Conference Tournament last year, because they had a lot of guys step up and carry them. We know the Cougars are going to rake. Keaton Kringlin, Daniel Schneeman, and Brennan Anderson, they set the tone. And again, they call them the Bat Cats for a reason, right? I mean, they really swing it. But can they get enough pitching? That's the question. As
we head down to the end of the season in May, Banner Island Ballpark for the WCC tournament, who do you imagine taking home the title?
I'm going to go with St. Mary's. I'm going to go with the Gales, again, just because they have the least amount of question marks. Now, of course, like I mentioned, I could see BYU or San Diego hoisting the trophy. I mean, it literally is, it's really close between those 3 teams. The Gales have the least amount of question marks, so I'll go with the homer pick, and I'll take St. Mary's as the league winner in the end of the year.
All right, well, baseball season is coming up right around the corner. Thank you, Alex Jensen, for coming here and talking to us today at St. Mary's.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sammy.
All right, thanks, guys. Now let's see how the coaches think this season will play out. The defending champion BYU Cougars narrowly edged out San Diego and St. Mary's for the top spot. Gonzaga and LMU, 2 of last year's co-champions, are picked to finish 4th and 5th. San Francisco and Pepperdine are 6th and 7th. A pair of teams with new head coaches, Santa Clara and Pacific, are predicted to finish 8th and 9th respectively, and Portland rounds out the poll. Coming up next, we go down the coast to see what's going on campus. And former BYU star Kyle Collinsworth has found a spot on the Dallas Mavericks roster. We catch up with Mr. Triple-Double next. WCC All-Access is brought to you in part by Nike.
From the classroom to the court, 10 exceptional schools across the West Coast. Since 2010, 48 postseason wins, 12 academic All-Americans.
Pop the three. How do you like that?
One Final Four appearance. It's more than just a game.
No surprise on the sand as the WCC Beach Volleyball preseason poll is out. Last season's national runner-up, Pepperdine, is the favorite to win the conference, getting the max number of votes. St. Mary's is picked to finish second, and LMU, Pacific, Santa Clara, Portland, and San Francisco make up the rest of the poll. From the beautiful backdrop of USD, welcome back to WCC All-Access. It's time to go down the coast and see what's making headlines around the conference. Major news in the beach volleyball world as Pepperdine head coach Nina Matthews announced she's retiring at the end of the season. In over 30 years in Malibu, both indoor and outdoor, she's collected upwards of 700 wins and led the Waves to 2 national championships. She also helped lead the charge in making beach volleyball a sanctioned NCAA sport. Assistant coach Marcio Ciccoli will take over as head coach for the 2019 campaign. In Stockton, Pacific celebrated National Girls and Women in Sports Day. The Tigers held a clinic for local kids with basketball, volleyball, soccer, and softball teams. The girls ages 5 to 14 got to take in Pacific's basketball game against Pepperdine later in the day. Coming off the best season in program history, the Portland men's cross-country team received another honor. The Pilots are the men's D1 Scholar Team of the Year, given out to the top finishing team at Nationals with a cumulative GPA of at least 3.0. Portland placed second at the NCAA Championship, the best finish in program history. And back on the hardwood, St. Mary's senior Jock Landale continues his historic season with more national recognition. He's one of 10 finalists for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award, given to the country's top center. Landale is averaging almost 23 points and 11 boards per game. Gonzaga's Shemet Karnowski won the award last season. Landale has all but locked up the WCC Player of the Year award, an honor he'd share with former BYU standout Kyle Collinsworth. The Cougar is the NCAA men's all-time and single-season leader for triple-doubles and is now a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Let's go next level with Kyle Collinsworth.
Kyle Collinsworth just came into the game. The rookie from BYU. Oh, and it opens up for him.
It's exciting news. It was a goal I had at the start of this year, was to sign a couple 10 days and then get to this point, so I'm excited. I found out yesterday, and I jumped on a flight at 10:25 last night, and I got into the hotel about 12:30. Woke up, I went to shoot around, but I didn't participate because I had to wait till the deadline to sign. Then I signed like at around 1, and then got ready to play. Ups and downs, ACL in college, you know, people said I'd never be the same, and then signing a little partial deal, training camp with the Mavericks, you know, getting cut, and then, you know, getting hurt in the D-League for the last 2 months, and then not being on a summer league team, and then being able to bounce back and, you know, find my way here. So a lot of perseverance, you know. I just kept believing, I was resilient, and, you know, it worked out when things were tough. I closed my eyes and sit back and just pictured moments like this, so it's cool to see all this come into fruition.
Number 5 gets number 6, and he ties the NCAA triple-double career record.
You know, whenever you have a big injury like an ACL, the question is, will he come back, and will he come back the same? But I was very blessed to be able to come back even better. So that free throw kind of like sealed everything for me that year, all the hard work. And it was kind of, you know, a big moment for me. We beat St. Mary's at their place and Gonzaga a couple of times. So whenever you get the best teams in the league on their home floor and can win, that's always fun. So those are always good times, and, you know, I always remember those moments.
Great to see Big Russia living out his dream. All right, now to the Diamond, where softball is back. Take a look at how the WCC coaches voted in the preseason poll. For the 5th consecutive year, BYU is picked to win the title. The Cougars start the season ranked in the top 25 nationally. Pacific and LMU tied for 2nd place, with the Tigers receiving a 1st place vote. San Diego, St. Mary's, and Santa Clara make up the rest of the poll. When we come back, we highlight some of the best tweets and posts from around the conference. And the heartbreaking story of an LMU basketball recruit who never got to wear the Lions jersey. We look at how the university is honoring the life of Ryse Williams when we return.
The University of San Diego is leading in the community, around the world, and beyond. As innovators and pace setters, the University of San Diego is leading change.
Let's take a look at some of the best moments on social media from across the conference. Hashtag new profile pic. Check out the new photo from BYU's Taylor Isom. She's the first ever draft pick of the Utah Royals FC, an expansion team in the NWSL. Isom is a former WCC Defensive Player of the Year. Emmett Nahr is now the all-time assist leader at St. Mary's, passing none other than Matthew Dellavedova. Deli gave the fellow Aussie a shout out on Twitter, saying congrats. Need another 150 plus to finish the year strong. And how's this for star power? After Miles Reynolds hit a game-winning shot for Pacific in mid-February, he got a retweet from Chance the Rapper. Yes, as in 3-time Grammy winner, Chance the Rapper, who Reynolds grew up with in Chicago. We're back on WCC All-Access from Jenny Craig Pavilion. It's an annual tradition here at USD, spending time with what's called the Challenge Division of the Poway Youth Basketball League. Check it out. Many young kids dream of playing basketball, including Ryse Williams. The Redondo Beach standout committed to play at LMU, but a sudden illness tragically took his life before he could step foot on the floor. Here's Sammy O'Brien with his story.
I named my son Ryse. I wanted him to be able to rise above his circumstances, make something of himself. And when you met with adversity, rise above it. And as a young African-American male, I knew he was going to be met with some adversity along the way. I didn't know it would be this.
He just loved people. He was a good kid in that way, in that regard. He made you feel like you were part of the group.
And the type of player he was on the court?
Oh, he was very calm. Even at 4 or 5 years old, Ryse's nickname was Cool Breeze. He's a very calm demeanor, which allowed him, he made a lot of big shots.
The Redondo Union shooting guard was even headed to nearby LMU on scholarship in the fall.
He's approachable, he was a safe person, he was empathetic, religious-based, he was reared that way, and for him, that opened his heart up. So he was really approachable for a guy who had star status.
In May 2017, just a month and a half before his high school graduation, Ryse started to feel ill.
It started off with Ryse having blood in his urine. And so he came to me and said, "Mom, there's blood in my urine." I said, "Ryse, how long has it been like that?" He said, "It's been like a few weeks." And then he was having back pain, and so we took him into the doctor to see his pediatrician.
In the blink of an eye, it was June, and still no diagnosis. Ryse was admitted to Little Company of Mary, where he spent his senior prom in his hospital bed with his girlfriend by his side and the boutonniere she surprised him with. Doctors continued to evaluate.
And the gentleman called us on the phone and he says, "I'm sorry to tell you, but this is a malignancy. Your son has cancer." And so, okay, so then he has cancer. So then a cancer specialist came in a couple of days later, and it was one of these things, wait, bad news, wait longer, worse news.
1 week later, at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, the diagnosis was in. Ryse had renal medullary carcinoma, a rare form of kidney cancer which affects predominantly young African Americans carrying the sickle cell trait.
There had only been about 129 diagnosed cases. In each case, the person died quickly because by the time it's discovered, it's ravaged your body, as it did in our case.
It had metastasized, and it was stage 4. And they told us there was nothing they can do to, there was no cure, there was nothing they can do.
He just wasn't getting better. And Tuesday, the oncologist finally has some answers for us. We go into the room. And she sits. This is terminal disease. Doesn't respond to normal treatment. He's not gonna live.
He was using the restroom, and Ryse took his mask off and said, "I feel dizzy." And what had happened, his heart stopped. So I believe maybe 30 minutes later, it happened again.
They say it's happening again, and I just tell him, let my son go.
Yeah.
Oh, no, let my son go.
On Thursday, June 22nd, Ryse Williams' fight ended the day before his high school graduation. LMU has decided to hold Ryse's spot in the locker room, graduate him in 4 years from the university, and retire the number he would have worn in the rafters forever. How does that help?
At first it was kind of just like an unspoken thing, but I think now it's kind of, understood within everybody that that's his space, that'll be his space for the entire time that he would have been here. So I think it's a really cool thing that's, turned into something.
The locker room is always, his locker's there, his number is gonna be there forever. And I like that he's gonna have his jersey and everything hung up. And actually I got a tattoo for him, yeah, so that he can always be remembered. And cause he really had just a great guy and everything, and he just took him away too soon.
Not everybody will know Ryse's story, and we relish the fact that we can say, hey, this is how you want to act, this is how you want to be. What better way to highlight his legacy?
To further his legacy, the Williams family started the Ryse Williams Charitable Foundation to promote amateur athletes, raise RMC awareness, and to remember their son.
Maybe Ryse passing away of this rare cancer when he was so strong and had so much going for him, and there was so much love, and he was a happy young man, and my son did not know he was gonna die. All he wanted to do was to get better. Tell me what I need to do. And we don't want other people to have to endure that.
What a great way to honor him. Thank you, Sammy. Now, when we come back, we've all got them. What song do you listen to when no one else is around? And we'll also look back at some of the best plays from the past month. And as we go to break, take a gander at the WCC men's and women's tennis polls as voted on by the head coaches.
From the shores of the Pacific to the mountains of Utah, in the classroom, in the community, and on the fields of play, we give back. We lead by example. we represent.
To watch for over the coming weeks. Spring championships are just around the corner. It'll be a busy few weeks in mid to late April. The WCC Men's and Women's Golf Championships in San Diego, beach volleyball in Santa Monica, and men's and women's tennis in Claremont, California. The W.TV will be on site with complete coverage for all of these events. Welcome back to WCC All Access. I'm Sarah Cazell. Some of us are blessed with great voices, and some of us should keep our concerts to ourselves. We asked WCC coaches and players what's the most embarrassing song on their playlists, and regrettably then asked them to sing it. Take a listen.
You said you've been to the year 3000. Hey. Not much has changed, but you live underwater.
It's just the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife.
Yeah, man, I mean the bare necessities, simple bare necessities.
Mbop, come on. You don't know Mbop by Hanson?
All right, is this my generation?
It's crosses all generations, I assure you.
I don't want to be like Cinderella, sitting in the dark, cold, dusty Zella, waiting for somebody to come and set me free.
When we're all lifting together, when I'm in the weight room, that's the one time I try to educate them on the values and the talent of country music. So it's my chance to broaden their horizons.
I only know one country song, and that's Bartender by Rehab.
15. Somebody tells you love you. There you go. How's that? That's a pretty good duet, isn't it?
You're as smooth Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine.
Holding back the years. And that's all I know. I don't know the rest. But I like the beat. Doom, doom, doom. Nice song. Really nice song.
After the turn of the century, in the clear blue skies over Germany, came and a thunder man had never heard. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. But it's when he gets to the driver and he goes, move on back.
I can't wait to see you again. It's like, it's embarrassing, so.
Texas, green eyes crying goodbye, was a long drive, a heartache. I'm still trying to get through. Texas with you.
Benny, yeah. Benny in the jet.
Love it. They didn't think I knew. I'm very versatile.
Well, that'll do it from San Diego. Thank you so much for watching WCC All Access. And now we leave you with some of the month's best plays from around the West Coast Conference. See you next time.
Uses McDavid's pick. Now is trapped out top. He's going to go to the basket. Flip it up off the window and score! Lulu Summers got to the rim and played it in off the window with a left hand. She's got 26, and the Tigers with a 2-point lead with less than a second to go. That was Tiger-rific.
All right, here we go. Bryant for three in the tie. Good! 5 seconds.
The 3-1 pitch is swung on and crushed. Left field, has he done it? He has! Unbelievable!
From the classroom to the court, 10 exceptional schools across the West Coast. Since 2010, 48 postseason wins, 12 academic All-Americans.
Pop the three. How do you like that?
1 Final Four appearance. It's more than just a game.